Since we are in the mountains now, we can move up in size of our animals. We have one of the largest mammals in our state, the black bear, in this area. We also have a few sightings of mountain lions, bobcats, woodchucks. Animals start to appear like skunks. We have both types of red foxes in this area. And we have birds that like long standing areas of trees, like pileated woodpeckers, flickers, sapsuckers, owl species, and you can occasionally find crows and all that here too. This is also home to the tallest part of our state, Brasstown Bald, which is 4,784 feet above sea level. Moving over into the Ridge and Valley, this is an interesting area because it's not quite mountainous. When we say ridge, we're talking about a long line of foothills that run along each other with a long valley in between. It literally looks like someone took their fingers and dug long trenches through the earth, like this. So long valley with a lot of grasslands and farmlands down in there with forests up on the ridges themselves. And since we have these long valleys, we have places like wiregrass fields, we have the Cherokee rose that grows in this area, loblolly pine stands, which are very tall, they're not as broad as longleaf pine, white oaks, and other plants that like to grow in open areas. And since we have these open areas, we have things like birds of prey, bald eagles, red-tailed hawks, owls, cottontail rabbits living out in the open, white-tailed deer, and those animals that like to eat those kind of things like red foxes. We also have possums and raccoons, which are throughout the whole state. Last but not least, the smallest region of our state, and also the most biologically diverse region of our state, the Appalachian Plateau. This is where you find trees that really like it when it's cold and need a regular snowfall every year to survive. That's plants like the sugar maple, hemlock, tulip poplars grow huge here. We have many stands of old growth forests that have not been touched in over 100 years by man. And of course, again, rhododendrons and azaleas. It also has my favorite plant that I like to say, sassafras, which is actually a ingredient in root beer and gumbo. And when I say biologically diverse, we have the most amphibians in this area with salamanders, newts, frogs, toads, and also the incredibly hard to find, and please forgive my language here, hellbender salamander, which grows up to 3 feet long. We also have plenty of turtle species. We have more of the birds that like the long-standing forests, like the pileated woodpecker, tons of owls in this area. We also have the northern flying squirrel, which is only found in this part of the state. All right, so in the next video, we're going to talk about how we're going to draw the backgrounds for these areas, and you get to choose which area you want to take to completion. So a beachscape for coastal plains is easy, a longleaf pine forest for Piedmont, the Blue Ridges of the mountains in the Blue Ridge area, Ridge and Valley, long valley, 2 long ridges. And Appalachian, the only way you tell that is not Blue Ridge is that it's green and turquoise rather than being blue, blue, blue. And this is what we're going to turn your thing into. We are going to turn it into what's called an ecological diagram. You see these often at museums, and someone usually has to paint the whole thing. This is not our state. This is for Missouri instead. But you can still see that we have bird species, a bat species, flowers, mammals, and reptiles in this that show off what the state has to offer, along with the landscape in the background with the foothills happening in Missouri. All right, so catch me in the next video on how to draw simple backgrounds for each of those regions, and you can choose which one you want to do.